being able to film myself playing a grand piano is one of my life goals. Happiness is really quite simple. I've been thinking of recording in a studio since January 2017, and pretty much the only studio near me when they have at least a baby grand piano is at ArtSound Studio Jakarta. It's located in Kelapa Gading, North Jakarta, right beside Mall Kelapa Gading, and the funny thing is I've been going back and forth to Mall Kelapa Gading for over a decade now, and I had never known that there's a recording studio right beside it until early this year. You know, at first I was a bit skeptical because I've never been to an actual recording studio before, let alone a professional one, and suddenly I'm going to film myself on top of that. And then, in early May, after spending lots of time doing research and after lots of considerations, I finally thought, you know what, let's just do it. Gaspol. I didn't know what's going to happen, I didn't know what to do, how should I do things, what if I mess up, how should I record, how the recording even works. I literally didn't know anything. So I rented a studio for one shift. That's a 6-hour session from 10 AM to 4 PM. I got access to the whole studio with the Yamaha GB1A-PE, baby grand piano, vocal booth, and the mixing room. I arrived at 9:30 in the morning, half an hour earlier than the schedule, and was able to take some photos and videos of the lobby, which by the way looks absolutely fantastic. And then at 10 AM I entered the studio, and my first impression was, wow, it's huge, and the grand piano is all set up with all the mics and other equipment, and they're all mine for 6 hours. That was the most exciting day I've had in a long time. As you guys might already saw, I did 5 songs, which is actually quite a lot for a 6-hour session. So I had no time to lose. After succeeding in containing my bursting excitement, I scrambled to set up all the cameras and tried to play all the songs I'm going to film on the grand piano to get used to it before recording. My first impression about the GB1A piano is that the keys are more weighted than the Roland RP301 right here, and quite a lot heavier than the Yamaha M1 upright. And they felt really solid and fantastic. One of the best feeling keys and definitely one of the best sounding piano I've ever played. I also get to test out this little guy right here. This is my new camera, a Panasonic HC-V3AC, which I used for the main angle of the Grand Piano Edition covers. And I'll show you right about now. So yeah, there it is. This replaces my old camera, which, here it is. This is the Sony Bloggy MHS CM5, which I've used for my covers since late 2011. So I've been using the Sony for roughly 5.5 years now. So I thought this is an excellent opportunity for an upgrade. This camera has a much wider angle, performs really well in low light, and hell, this camera zoom is so good that I can basically use it as a telescope. I even took a photo of the moon and it still looks great. After setting everything up, I started preparing for the recording session. The people there were really helpful. They explained everything very clearly, and it's honestly easier than I thought it would be. The first cover recorded in the studio was Tell Your World by KZ. I knew the song for the first time through Marasy's cover, immediately fell in love with it and was really determined to be able to play it, which I did. The song itself is about expressing joy and excitement when surfing the internet, and it succeeds that. The second cover recorded was Koi no Katachi soundtrack, Lit. That soundtrack went to the very top of my most favorite OSTs of all time. It's written by Kensuke Ushio, and I have lots of respect for him and his works. The soundtracks he composed fit so well into the film that replacing them with something else is just unimaginable. The third cover was Karakuri Pierrot by 40 Meter P. I knew the song for the first time through Logical Emotions cover, a band consisting of Marasy, Tab Clear, and DRM. It got me looking for the original song, and I absolutely loved it. It doesn't feel like a sad song at first, but listening on a loop gradually feels depressing. The lyrics tell a story about a girl who feels like being the puppet clown of her boyfriend, but nevertheless she holds on to him to the point where she suffers so much that she feels like breaking and finally gives up. It's one of my new all-time favorites alongside Tell Your World. Now the fourth cover recorded was Madoka Magica's opening, Connect. The song is definitely one of my all-time favorites, and I actually heard the song for the very first time from, well, you guessed it, Marasy's cover. I actually fell in love with his cover nearly a year before even listening to the original song. It's pretty crazy how much I've missed back in those days a few years ago. Now the fifth and final cover recorded was Marasy's own composition, titled Kuso Shoujo e no Koitegami, which translates to Love Letter for an Imaginary Girl. It's about an ultra-relatable story of a guy who fell in love with a fictional girl, currently separated by the screen. He felt so close to her yet so far away, and if he could have one wish in his lifetime, he would wish that he could reach her and live together in the same world. But then in the end he realized that he couldn't break reality, and he simply said, "I'm so glad that I met you." I'm sure most of you are going through something very similar to this. So the Grand Piano Edition covers really are something special for me. I want to thank ArtSound Studio for making the recording possible, and special thanks to Mr. Hardy for being a very composed and patient sound engineer after hours and hours of repeats and retakes. It may look very smooth in my videos, but trust me, those 6 hours were really exhausting, yet so much fun. Okay, so that wraps up everything that I wanted to share with you. It's been a while since I last spoke in a video, and this is actually the first time that I do a video in this style. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for those of you who are staying with me up to this point. This is Ray with Adding Music, and I'll see you guys again really soon.